Heather Gay has always been a fascinating presence on The Real Housewives of Salt Lake City. With her quick wit, her candid one-liners, and her willingness to open up about her journey leaving behind the restrictive doctrines of the Mormon Church, she's become both a fan favorite and, for many viewers, a kind of cultural translator. She navigates a world most Americans know little about, the rituals and rules of Mormonism, and she does it with honesty, humor, and a sometimes biting edge. Recently, Heather dropped a particularly bold statement that set the fandom buzzing. She doesn't believe any Mormon on television is actually wearing their sacred undergarments, sometimes called temple garments or simply garments. For outsiders, this might sound like a small or strange observation. But for anyone familiar with the LDS faith, it's a mic drop moment. The garments, a hidden symbol. For members of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, temple garments are more than just clothing. They are sacred, meant to be worn as a constant reminder of faith and covenant. The design itself is simple and modest, resembling a set of white underwear, but the symbolism is profound. To faithful members, garments represent spiritual armor, a shield against temptation, and a daily marker of religious devotion. They're also meant to be worn under almost everything: dresses, jeans, workout gear. Which means that in Hollywood, where glamorous red carpets, reality TV confessionals, and skin-bearing fashion are part of the deal, their presence would be nearly impossible to reconcile. Heather Gay knows this intimately. Having been a good Mormon for most of her life, she wore garments faithfully. Now, as someone who has stepped away from the church, she can look back with both affection and frustration at the way those garments once governed her choices. So when Heather says she doesn't think any Mormon on TV is actually wearing them, she's not just tossing out shade. She's exposing the complicated dance between faith, performance, and image. Heather's perspective. Heather has been open about her struggles with Mormonism since season 1 of RHOSLC. She's described how garments shaped her sense of identity, even her sense of shame. They dictated what she could wear, what she could feel confident in, and what she could show the world. It's not just underwear, she once explained on the show. It's a constant reminder that your body isn't really yours. It belongs to the church. Her latest comment about no Mormon on TV wearing garments isn't a dig so much as it is a reality check. To Heather, Mormonism is a faith that thrives on appearances of perfection. Families are meant to look polished, marriage is eternal, and faith unshakable. Garments are part of that performance inside the Mormon community, but they don't always translate to the broader stage of American entertainment. When a Mormon steps into the spotlight, whether as a reality star, an actor, or a musician, Heather suspects the garments quietly come off. Think about it. She quips during one podcast interview. You can't wear a backless gown at the Emmys with garments underneath. You can't do a swimsuit photo shoot. You can't be on Bravo, period, without ditching them. A clash of cultures. Heather's statement exposes a larger tension, the clash between Mormon modesty and the culture of entertainment. Reality TV thrives on spectacle, glamorous outfits, poolside parties, fashion confessionals. Mormonism, by contrast, is rooted in restraint. Skirts to the knee, shoulders covered, no plunging necklines. For Heather, the tension is personal. She grew up revering those rules, only to find them stifling as she matured. Now, she sees Mormon entertainers as constantly negotiating that same impossible line. It's not that they're bad Mormons, she clarifies. It's that TV demands a version of yourself that doesn't fit inside those restrictions. You have to choose, and usually TV wins. In her view, this quiet compromise explains why Mormonism's image outside Utah often feels squeaky clean but oddly flat. What the public sees are families in Disney musicals, athletes thanking God after a win, or reality stars claiming faith but never showing its trappings. The garments, which are supposed to be ever-present, are suspiciously absent. The taboo of talking about it. One reason Heather's comment hits so hard is because garments are rarely discussed publicly. Within the LDS Church, talking about them casually is frowned upon. They are sacred, not secret, but the distinction is subtle. Many members feel uncomfortable when outsiders, or even former insiders like Heather, spotlight them. By suggesting that Mormons on TV ditch their garments, Heather broke an unspoken rule. She pulled the curtain back. And she did it with her trademark bluntness. Her critics argue that she's mocking faith. But her defenders see it differently. They see her as naming the hypocrisy of a culture that demands constant perfection while simultaneously pretending those demands don't exist. "People think I'm being shady," Heather told a fan Q&A. "But honestly, I think it's freeing. No one can live up to every single rule all the time. Why should we pretend otherwise?" Fans react. Bravo fans, as always, were quick to weigh in. Some praised Heather for her honesty. On social media, comments poured in. "She's the only one brave enough to say what we're all thinking." Heather makes Mormonism understandable for people who've never even met a Mormon. This is why she's a queen. Others were less impressed. She left the church fine. But why drag people who are still trying to live it? Talking about garments is disrespectful. She knows better. The split reaction mirrors the broader debate about Heather's role on RHOSLC. Is she a truth-teller breaking chains, or a rebel poking at sacred things for drama? The answer, of course, is both, which is what makes her so compelling to watch. Beyond the Housewives, Heather's observation also sparks a bigger question. What does authenticity look like when faith meets fame? For Mormons in the spotlight, there's pressure from both sides. The church community expects them to represent, to be a beacon of virtue. The entertainment world, meanwhile, expects them to dazzle, to reveal, to bear. Somewhere in the middle, garments quietly disappear. Heather's point is that this quiet disappearing act matters. It shows how the lived reality of Mormonism doesn't quite fit the polished narratives presented to outsiders. It highlights the compromises that even the most faithful make, though no one admits it. And it underscores why so many people raised in the church, Heather included, eventually walk away, exhausted by the dissonance. Heather's legacy. Whether fans love her or roll their eyes, Heather Gay has carved out a unique space in Bravo history. She's not just another housewife tossing cocktails and insults. She's a cultural voice, explaining the peculiarities of a faith that shaped her and continues to haunt her. Her refusal to stay silent, whether about garments, shame, or the hypocrisies of perfection culture, makes her polarizing, but also unforgettable. In a franchise built on facades, Heather insists on pulling them down, even when it makes people uncomfortable. So when she says, "I don't think any Mormon on TV is actually wearing sacred garments," it's more than just a sassy soundbite. It's a thesis statement for her whole journey. Stop pretending, stop hiding, and start living truthfully, even if it means breaking every unspoken